All right, guys, before we dive into a 5-pack of stats that you need to know for Sunday, I have a question for you guys that will lead us into stat number 1. When do you think the last time the Browns allowed a 300-yard passer in a game was?
I think it's been 50-something games, hasn't it?
Nah, I think Bo Nix threw for it last year.
No.
Didn't Bo Nix have 300?
Bo Nix did not hit 300.
The Browns have the current record, believe it or not, for most
games
games without a 300-yard passer.
They do?
Yeah.
That's the stat I'm getting to, but I want to, before I tell you
Wow,
who
that's a great
is,
stat.
I'll give you one last chance to guess.
What conference is this player in?
Currently or when it happened? It's the AFC for both, actually. It doesn't matter.
Oh, Joe
okay,
Flacco.
so-
No, it was not Flacco.
Oh,
I thought he threw for 300 when he came back
well,
against
hold
the Jets.
on now. That's a major clue, guys. He's been traded within the AFC in the last 5 years.
Or free agency.
Or free agency.
And I'll tell you this. It happened during the show. We have
we were
discussed
on.
this game, so it was during the UCSS era. I'll give you another 30 seconds before I dive into this.
During the
The New England kid. He plays for us now.
Zappy.
Yeah,
He
Bailey
threw
Zappi.
Zappy did throw for 300, but there was one more recent than that. That
Oh, there
not
was.
the most.
Yeah,
I'll give you the answer.
That was
Yeah,
incredible.
Hold
Bailey
on.
Zappi
Remember
went
that.
for 300.
Hold on
against us.
one second.
Okay, Bull, I'll give you one more
The
second.
New England kid.
Zappy did throw for
60
300,
sucks,
Jay.
guys.
But that was prior
Okay.
to this most recent one.
Okay. This must have been close. They were close together. I mean, we could go through the teams.
Yeah, I'm going.
It's going to drive you nuts, and the answer
Hold on.
I'm just saying the answer is going to infuriate you when I tell you.
Texans.
Houston?
And I'm forgetting the fourth team in the AFC South. Jaguars, Titans, Texans,
Colts.
and Colts. No, I don't know. I'm out of guesses.
Well, it was the Colts. It was Gardner Minshew.
Oh, you
You
killed
were
us.
right there. The Browns
Gardner
have not
Minshew
allowed.
ripped us to pieces.
The
that's the
Browns
game
have
Myles
not allowed
Garrett
a
won.
That was in
300-yard
Indy,
passer
yeah.
in 28 consecutive games. The last time it
I said
happened.
50-something. That
was-
was
Yeah,
crazy.
that's where I was kind of
Yeah,
off.
50
I'm like,
50
Bailey
was too
Zappi
much.
wasn't 50 games ago.
No,
that's
the
only
last
3
time it
years.
happened was Gardner Minshew on October 22nd, 2023, threw for 305
4.
yards that game. The second longest streak is Philadelphia. That's actually 14 now. They did not allow Dak Prescott to throw for 300. Joe Burrow last year threw for 300 yards 7 times by himself. So we have the longest active streak in football of not allowing a 300-yard passer, going up against the number 1 300-yard passer.
Do we think that falls
in
tomorrow?
the NFL on Sunday?
Or
So
Sunday?
yeah, what do you guys
Do
think about
you guys
that?
think Burrow goes for 300?
I do.
I do too.
Yeah.
Captain Kool-Aid.
The reason why I'm debating 300 because he might get 275 and they might get 140 on the ground.
Okay, that's fair.
So
So you're going no.
I'm gonna say no.
All right. I don't think he goes much over 300.
Man,
but
put that camera angle back on G. Bush. G, leave your head the way it was. Looks like there's a growth coming out of his head.
That's crazy.
That football.
he swallowed a football.
Was it Hey Arnold, the football shaped
Right.
head?
Yeah, football head.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Nah, these stats are deceiving because think about it. Like every game is week to week. So yeah, they got a great passing game, but if they get up, they gonna run this football and be we're gonna get up out of here. We're not about to be dropping back with
I
Joe
think
Burrow.
the reason I went with 300 is because I think they've been so adamant on a fast start. I don't think they want a 24-21. I think they want a 35-3. I think they want to boat race Cleveland
every
and
team
send a
does.
message to everybody.
It's also the first time Burrow's been 100% healthy to start a season in like 4 years.
And hasn't he missed a couple of games against the Browns in the last few years? It feels like he sits out the last game and it's always against us.
I mean,
yeah.
17.
Last year he played both, and the Bengals won both, but he obviously didn't throw for 300 in those games.
17. If you up 17-0 in the NFL, that might as well be 30. 17-0 is crazy. Like,
I mean, unless you're playing against one of the top quarterbacks, then you
right?
can come back.
But it's the Browns. Like,
Yeah, if the Browns are down, I think
that's what I'm saying.
17-0 in the NFL feels like a 20-point lead in the NBA. It can go like that.
But I'm talking about
not
for the
the Browns. Not
Yeah.
the Browns.
yeah.
The
All
Browns are
31 teams, yes.
The Browns are still playing 80s basketball at the center with the back to the basket.
Get left shrimp out there.
dropping it down to Robert Parrish. Robert Parrish is getting touches?
Chief.
No moves, Parrish? I don't understand how they got that off. I don't understand.
It's a different time, G.
Jackson
Jack
Robert
Sycamore
Parrish.
playing center for.
Different time.
Tyrone Hill's getting fed the ball. Tyrone Hill is your option?
Wow, shout out to Ty Hill.
Shout out to Tyrone Hill, man. But, yeah, no, I don't. If the Bengals is up, now look, that because Jamar Chase can, he'll get his 100
He
plus.
could get an 80.
He could get an
on
80
one
or
catch.
90 on one joint, and then you out here looking crazy. But, yeah, 300, I wouldn't put it past him. I still got him at like 280, 290.
Who wins the day between Chase, and I know that he's not going to be on him every time, but when Denzel is in coverage on Jamar Chase, who wins that battle on Sunday? The overall battle.
Ward better win it. I
What?
mean, that's
Yeah,
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's the NFL. The offense gets every. If
Chase has had some quiet games. He's had some big games against the Browns.
Yeah.
But I think his biggest game against the Browns, I think Denzel was hurt for that game, maybe. But I don't know. To me, when I have an elite corner and an elite wide receiver, I feel like they're both going to win some and lose some. It's that's the best you can hope for. Is
it's hard
you hold
for
your own.
In my view, it's hard for the defensive back
Right.
to come out as the clear-cut winner unless he shuts the guy out.
Right,
Or,
which is-
2 catches,
which is
13
so
yards.
hard to do,
And
you
I
know.
just don't know that you can do that to Jamar Chase,
No.
today's version.
It's like an offensive lineman can dominate a game against defensive lineman, but that defensive lineman gets 2 sacks, you're going to think he kicked the offensive lineman's ass.
Yeah, you're right.
And the offensive lineman might have dominated the whole game,
Yeah.
except for those
Win
two
those
plays.
2 plays.
the
Yeah.
offense knows where they're going, they know what the play is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they do.
Like
As good as Ward is, I would say that if I had to pick a winner going in, I think Chase is going to win that matchup.
Yeah.
I'm going to combine the next two because they kind of play off each other. So I'm going to give you 2 stats, then we'll react to them
All right.
at the same time. So on the flip side of the no-fly zone, which has been the Browns' defense, Joe Flacco has been the opposite. You got to remember.
Whoa, you snuck that in. Like, what are you talking? Like, you can't give them no nickname like that. The
That's
no-fly zone.
really poor,
Who
Mike.
said that?
They haven't
That
allowed
was
300-yard passer in 28 games.
That
It's
was the
longest streak in
top
NFL.
of his
Nah.
first nugget in his 5-piece
You
nugget.
can't set that up and then give them a name leading into your second one.
Well, go back to that graphic. No, he
No,
was
it's-
just,
it says it on
you
the
guys
top.
missed it. When I saw the graphic, I was like,
Yeah.
wow. No, the first one.
Yeah, he's going
When I
back,
saw
yeah.
that graphic,
No.
I'm like, once upon a time, the Raiders' defensive
hold on.
backfield
We
gotta
had a
pull the
poster
curtain
with
back.
the no-fly zone. And
We
I'm
got to
like,
pull the
that's
curtain
cool.
back. There's enough space for like 4 or 5 words there.
I get it.
You gotta be creative in. I'm not naming them the no-fly zone.
Okay,
I'm
say
just saying for
dang.
that specific
when you're
stat.
3 and 14, you don't get a nickname.
However, they do have
Well,
the
you do,
NFL's
but
longest
none of them are very
stretch.
common.
But to Mike's defense, they have the longest stretch in the NFL
Yeah, you do.
I guess.
between allowing 300-yard passers. So
It's just trying to put something on the top of the graphic that fits.
All right,
We get
go
4 or
ahead.
5 words.
I
All
give
right.
you grace. You got grace.
The
on that
other, and once again, I'm going to combine 2 stats in one here, but the
Mike, are you
opposite of
combining 2 stats in one here?
I'm going to combine 2 stats in one. If you guys let me get the stat out, you'd be able to hear
for the
both
record,
stats.
it's going to be 2 and 1.
2 and
Yes.
1. All right, let's go.
So
One
the
and
opposite
two.
of the no-fly zone is
Yeah.
let it fly Flacco. In his 5 starts with the Browns, including the postseason game, he averaged 333.8 passing yards.
Did he
5
go for
straight
300 yards in that
300-yard
playoff
passing
game?
yards. He did, yes.
That's the most fraudulent game
Now,
of
hold
all
on.
time.
Now,
Well,
the
but
court-
you're
Well,
down
how am I
that
going to get
big,
2
though.
stats in a row if you don't
If
even
you
finish
don't
the
let
first
him go.
stat without
I'm sorry.
interrupting?
I'm sorry,
Please,
Mike. Go ahead.
Have some respect here. In Indy last year, he played in 7 games in meaningful snaps. He started 6, played in 8, but got 7 with meaningful snaps. He threw for 200 in 2 of those 7 games. And I was surprised to see that the Bengals, despite having the historically bad defense, only allowed 2 300-yard passers last season. There were a couple games where they let like 290, but if we're going off that 300-yard limit, they only allowed 2 passers to go
I'm actually
over
surprised
that.
by that, too.
And with Flacco, and let's go to the next one here, he can't turn the ball over. I know we just talked about his turnover issues, but he has 6 games with an interception. Cleveland led the NFL with 28 turnovers last season. That's 6 straight games with an interception, by the way, for Joe Flacco. The Bengals had 15 interceptions in 2024. That was tied for the 5th most. So Flacco, as we just talked about, is going to let it fly. It just doesn't always land exactly where he wants it to land.
It's like me and a golf ball.
Someone's catching this damn thing.
Yeah.
You know what's I think the craziest thing about all of those numbers, who was the last quarterback in the NFL to throw for 5 straight 300-yard games? I mean, clearly
It doesn't happen often.
No, but
Burrow had 7 in total last year. Flacco's done it 5 times in a row with the Browns.
That's nuts.
If you go back, what's really crazy, as I grab my helmet crystal ball, if you go back and read the tapes, one prophesied and said that Flacco would throw for 300 the first game.
That's true.
Doubled down again and said he would throw for 300 2 games. Fast forward 3 more games, Flacco did it again, and G. Bush started the name Flaccovelli. Kool-Aid Mafia was born with Flacco throwing for 300 yards, and we called it last year.
That would be impressive, but you also predicted that there would be like 5 wide receivers catch 1,000 yards worth of passes.
Do not let the truth get in the way of a good story, Jay. I told you that before.
That's true,
I
Jay.
also
You know what?
said-
That is true. You did predict.
I also said 4,500, which
4,500.
that
I
4,500.
remember that. I remember that.
Do you understand? There's a 4,500 club out there. It used to be a show called 700 Club.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah.
But the
I thought Burrow might have done it last year, but he did 4.
Yeah.
And his 5th game, he threw for 2 sets. Last year, last 5 games, Burrow.
Oh, he got red hot at the end.
428, 356, 309, wait a second. Those are not the last 4. All right, but a 5-game stretch. 428, 356, 309, 369, 271, 252, 412, 277. That was the last 8
Yeah,
games.
he
for
was
9 games.
smoking hot at the
You
end.
know what those numbers are? That's the numbers to Dustin's credit card when he on StockX getting Jordans. 376, 544, 862. Dang.
A lot of digits.
A lot
in
of
there.
numbers in there.
It is.
I got 3. I'm going to tell you this. You're going to be mad, Bull. You're going to be upset.
Good.
Flacco, he understands what type of time it is. This is his last hurrah.
Yeah.
He's icing his arm down right now. His kids is old. He sat down with a Didi at the house.
Yep.
They was eating Chinese food.
Got over 1 million views.
A million views out here moving around. And guess what? He's like, oh, I'm throwing the ball up. This is my last hurrah. Joe Flacco going to throw for about 350 this game.
He's a 40-year-old at the blackjack table.
350.
I mean, he could.
Not, but
doesn't-
but he's going to give a couple away. But
Wow.
350.
Well,
That's
G,
a
you're going to
big
like this
number.
next stat then because it plays
big
into the possibility of that. The Bengals, they're slow starters, guys. Since Zach Taylor took over as head coach, they are 1-11 in weeks 1 and 2 under Zach Taylor. That is the worst winning percentage in the NFL for any team in weeks 1 and 2. They've played Cleveland twice during that span. They lost to Cleveland both times. The one win was an overtime win over Minnesota in 2001. But I know you've addressed 21, sorry. You've addressed the fact that Burrow and the starters have played in the preseason now for the first time, but the numbers don't lie. Since Zach Taylor's been the Bengals head coach, they have been horrific out of the gate.
Yeah, I think that's what everybody's hanging their hat on. Anybody picking the Browns is hanging their hat pretty much solely on that, right? I mean, like, what is your other argument?
It factors into it.
I mean,
I think your other argument is Joe Flacco could throw for 350.
We really don't have no argument. We just.
I mean, the
it's
Bengals
really,
defense.
like, there ain't, like-
well, the other thing that
just-
factors into it is the Bengals defense isn't great. You know,
Yeah.
We really
right,
got
but
that.
the main thing that people that I've heard picking the Browns is that. And obviously, that has been an issue.
they've
That-
done a lot to address it, though. Bull.
and I don't
changed
know.
their MO.
Right. They have. Joe Burrow has been hurt. He has not been healthy for the preseason since I think his rookie year, and that year was COVID, so there was no preseason.
Yeah.
There might have been one other year, like 20, maybe 22. He was okay. He was healthy, but to me, that's the big difference. So yes, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, I know last year they lost to the Patriots in Week 1. They were awful.
That was kind of crazy.
2 years ago was the game in the rain against the Browns where Burrow wasn't healthy, and it was both of them played terribly, and the Browns won that game. So, yeah, I mean, listen, is this a thing that's just going to keep happening every year? You would think not. The odds are that this is just not going to go on forever. I think because Burrow's healthy for the first time in a long time to start the season, and because they made a point of, hey, this is a problem, we have to address it. It's certainly no guarantee, but I'm expecting them to play a lot better than they have in previous weeks.
Coupled with that stat is their struggles against Stefanski. I think they
See, that,
kind
to
of
me,
feed into one another, don't they?
I just don't buy that I think that's an old narrative that doesn't fit anymore.
Well, he lost both games to, Stefanski lost both games to Cincinnati last year.
Right. The Bengals
but prior
have
to
won
that, the record didn't make sense.
Right, but the Bengals have now won 3 in a row and 4 of 5 against the Browns. So
they flipped that narrative.
Certainly earlier, yes.
Yeah.
Stefanski had his number earlier, but that hasn't been the case as of late. So, listen, overall, since Joe Burrow's been in Cincinnati, I would say he's played worse against the Browns, and he's had some good games against the Browns, but overall, he's looked less crisp against the Browns, in my opinion, than against any other team.
Yeah, that's
For
fair.
whatever reason. Maybe it's just Myles Garrett. Maybe it's Denzel Ward. I don't know what the reason is.
Right.
But he's looked less crisp overall against the Browns than any other team.
And I think that's all factoring into the people that are saying the
Absolutely.
Browns can win. They're taking there's a
Absolutely,
lot
yes.
of little evidence all over
Yeah.
the place. But all of those trends recently have
Yeah.
been buried. The 4 out of 5.
Yeah.
Burrow playing well.
Right.
Burrow was really struggled against the Browns.
Early in his career, he was terrible
Had
against
some
them.
success the last couple of games.
And so now the one narrative they got to get over, it's not an,
Slow
I mean, it's
start.
true, is these bad starts. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
fact.
And they really went out of their way to change what they did.
They
in the
did.
preseason.
Whether it pays, I'll tell you this: if they lose this game, I'll never pick them to win Week 1 ever, until it actually happens.
LeBron James, how many finals he done lost?
4?
7.
Six?
How many?
I don't know. It
how
feels
many
like a lot
finals?
of them.
Like
He lost
4 and
4 with the
4 and
Cavs.
6.
Oh, 6. You're right.
Yeah,
it's
so,
4.
so,
4 with
so,
the Cavs, 2 with the Heat.
so he lost 6 straight finals. If he get back in the
No,
finals,
he didn't lose 6 straight.
not 6 straight.
Yeah.
He lost 6 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
I'm still picking LeBron. I don't care what you talk about. Your record says it. Joe Burrow threw for like 5,000 yards and 70% completion. Like he got Jamar Chase. He has 1,700 yards last year. He won the Triple Crown. And they got T. Higgins. Everybody got their money. Everybody is chilling. Everybody is healthy. There is no way in the world. And Myles Garrett got allegedly, his hip is sore. So no. I'm not going out here talking about like this is going to be somehow. No, past does not dictate what happens in the future. If you're talking today on paper, in the roster, the Bengals have a better roster. They got a better team. They got the best quarterback. No, we're not going.
And really, all of that is not up for debate.
Yeah, that we can't even. We just rationalize. We drinking Kool-Aid at this point. We just trying to figure out something. Throw something at the dart. Like, yeah, man, we could win.
Well, I saved the most Browns positive stat for last because if the Browns are going to beat the Bengals, as we all agreed earlier in the show, it's going to take a pretty heroic effort from Myles Garrett. And luckily, Myles has dominated Cincinnati in his career. He has 13 career sacks against the Bengals. That's tied for the most he has against any team in football
How many games?
with the Steelers. He's played 10 games against the Bengals.
Wow, that's
He's played
impressive.
12 games against the Steelers, so those 13 sacks have come in 2 fewer games against Cincinnati than he did against Pittsburgh. He also is historically a fast starter in Week 1. He has 9 sacks in Week 1 over the course of his career, and he's only played in 7 Week 1 games. He has 3 games, with multiple sacks in Week 1, and in the 7 Week 1 games he's played, he's recorded a sack in 6 of them. So 7 Week 1 games, 6 games in Week 1 with the sack. 3 of those he had multiple sacks.
Myles
And he's
Garrett is
13
the
against
greatest
the
pass
Bengals.
rusher in the history of football in September and October.
All right,
Now he's got to become in November, December, and hopefully eventually January. In September and October, there's no pass rusher I've ever seen better than him.
Yeah,
he
right.
looks like unstoppable the first 2 months, and then every year he tails off, whether
And
it's
there's-
the talent around him, the injuries, the
Right.
team just going in the wrong direction.
That's what I was going to
whatever
say.
it
There's
is.
2 possible explanations.
Yeah.
1, by November, the team's out of it in most of his seasons.
Yes.
2, he just wears out. He goes so hard. It's like if you run a 400 and you've never run a 400 and you look at everybody else at starting gate and you're like, man, I'm faster than all these guys. Well, you may be, but you don't have to be faster over the first 100 or the first 200. You got to be faster for the race.
Right.
Which means you've got to pace yourself. And
Yeah.
if you come out in a 4 and you sprint it like a 1 or a 2, you're gassed by the time you get to the finish line. I think watching Myles Garrett in his career, season by season, is like watching the fastest runner in the world try to compete in the 400. He comes out so smoking hot that at the turn, his legs are concrete and he can't kick it home. That's what Myles Garrett reminds me of.
Can I give you the numbers real quick on the season splits month by month?
Yeah,
for
we did
Myles'
these
career?
last
We
year,
did this
man. Sure.
last year.
Refresh our
I'll update it
memories.
for anyone who hasn't
Yeah.
heard. In September, for Miles' career, he's played 24 September games and has 30.5 sacks.
So that's about 1.2 sacks per game in
Yeah.
September, which is crazy.
In October, he's played in 31 games and has 31 sacks. So literally
a
one
sack per
one
game.
per game. November, 25 games, and he has 20 sacks.
All right,
So
that's 0.8
less than
sacks
one.
per game. Not
Yeah,
terrible.
that would be the 200 to 300
Right,
meter mark.
right.
So his legs are heavy. He's slowing down. Give us
Put
the
December, January combined, maybe. Mike.
Yeah,
I will do December, January combined.
What's the 300 to 400 meter number look
37 games, 21 sacks.
like? His legs are gassed.
I mean, that's almost a half a sack. He goes from starting about 1.25 sacks a game
Yeah.
to 1 to 0.8 to about a 0.5 and a, 0.5,
which is a huge drop off.
By
Now, is it lack of interest because the teams are terrible? Or is it that his body is conditioned for sprints, not marathons?
Or I could just
Yeah.
take you out the game. It's
But why can't teams do it early in the
Yeah,
season?
you can do that in September, too.
because during the beginning of the season, I'm not wasting no resources. It's the beginning of the season. It's like saying, do you give your best game plans out early?
Well, each game counts the same.
I mean, it's week one. You're like, okay, we don't know what they're gonna we don't know what they're gonna do. By the time you get to November, there's a couple of things. There's attrition. You're hurt. Your body is beat up. Number two,
You're 2-10.
You're 2 and something. Number three, teams that are playing you are playing for something. They're like, we're not about to let Myles Garrett destroy
Yeah.
our whole game.
But some of those teams they've played are not playing for anything.
Hey.
Just like the Browns aren't.
And they say, well, let me put 3 guys over there.
Yeah.
The double team numbers are staggering for Myles Garrett, right?
That's true.
They're staggering. Like you could always take one player out of the game. That's why we always be looking for another person. Do you know how good they would be if they just had just like a Danielle Hunter? Not Micah Parsons, just like a Hunter or something over there.
Yeah.
Like where not Max Crosby, but somebody who can give you some consistent. You'd be unstoppable. But
Yeah, I
at
mean,
that point, no.
And I think part of the reason the Bengals have struggled with Myles Garrett in particular, and I don't know if they'll do anything to change it, is the Bengals don't like to leave a tight end to help double team.
No.
They don't like to do that. They want everybody out to give Joe all the options. And so, it makes it more challenging. But if I'm the Bengals, I'm putting 2 guys on him every play. Because he's the only guy up front that could wreck the game.
What I've learned
For
about
me.
coaching, coaches are very pig-headed.
Yeah.
We asked about Jason. We asked about Denzel Ward traveling. Jim Shorts was like, "Nah, that's not what we do. He's gonna play one side." Now, for us, we like, well, listen, he's the best corner. It's Jamar Chase. Why not just follow him everywhere? Coaches don't be liking to do it. They're like, nah. We got a system we run. So yes, it seems like they should do that. I mean, I would do it, but like you said, the Bengals' best part of their game is what their passing attack, right? They're like, listen, we want our tight ends in the route so we can
Yeah.
get. So that's just it is. It's just philosophy, I guess.
Yeah.